of the 20 of them are county employees or elected officials.
I see.
That are just paying attention. With that, it is 1 o'clock and I will call our regular meeting of the Klickitat County Board of Commissioners to order. Let the record show the Commissioner Zoller and the Commissioner Christopher, our president, and Commissioner Anderson is away. With that, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Moving on, I would entertain a motion for the approval of the business agenda if you're ready.
And, okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the business agenda as presented.
Okay, I will step down and second the motion. Any discussion on approval of the business agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the business agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of the commissioner meeting minutes for May 2nd, 2023, and the Dallasport wastewater public hearing meeting minutes for May 9th, 2023 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion for approval of commissioner meeting minutes from May 2nd, 2023, May 8th, 2023 for the Dallasport water public hearing, and May 9th for the BOCC 2023 public hearing. That's, I think, what you said. I
I
will.
will second the motion.
Oh, we have a commissioner online. There we go. Can we change the record that Mr. Anderson is currently present? So we have motion and second. Any discussion on approval of the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you for finding time to visit with us, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Chair.
Meeting go well?
Meetings went extremely well, so yes.
Good. All right, with that, we will move on to citizen comments. Citizen comment is limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name and general location in the county for the record at the start of your testimony. We will start in the room as always. Are the little green lights on the mics?
Yes.
Perfect. So if you're ready, go ahead, sir.
Hi, all. Most of you haven't met me. Lori has. My name is Keith Arndt. I live at 8144 State Route 14 on the west end of Murdoch. I come here today because I was reminded of some history that for which I've provided you a relatively succinct examination of that history as a resolution number 01514 signed in and recorded in 2014. What reminded me was the passing of one of my neighbors named Don McDermott.
Did he pass?
He did.
Oh,
And I remember him as someone who instigated a number of things that put my family through some pain, a lot of it. And so today I was up here in town and wanted to, one, provide you a copy of the resolution. It has good background to it, facts and history. What isn't explained in there is the fact that we're dealing with, my family had a 5-acre parcel. It was bisected by the general management line between the General Gorge Management area and the Dallasport Murdoch urban area. 3.5 acres had my folks' home on it, the one building they allowed. And the other 1.5 acres had a shop building, okay, next to the highway. The folks built the house, built the shop. And because of the bisection, he always wanted to create a property line along that boundary. So we attempted to short plat it into 2 parcels along that boundary. The problem came when Mr. McDermott helped to instigate and involve the Friends of the Columbia Gorge to challenge the location of that boundary line. It resulted in lawsuits for 7 years that involved the county. It was the first instance where the outer boundaries of the scenic area had been established. Nobody established the interior boundaries between urban areas and general management. We were the first one to present them, or they took that opportunity to challenge that. So,
Sir, your time is up, but I'm gonna let you continue, just wrap it up.
boy, I'm
I
quick.
know, right?
Oh, that's what the noise was.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I appreciate it. 7 years of lawsuits, unable to settle the estate. My folks passed in 2007, 2009, and my one sister in 2010. So I couldn't sell the house because of the unclear boundary line. I ate a lot of rice. I lived in a trailer, and it was a tough 7 years. I had fat mortgage to pay that the folks left me with, and not much income with which to do it. Also involved 7 years of legal and engineering expenses, and a sizable chunk of legal expenses by the county. They took on a lot in that, hired outside counsel, spent 7 years dealing with this stuff. I was always of the impression that if it was somewhere else other than Klickitat County, they'd have found a way not to do it. And I've always been appreciative of the county's efforts and the 3 folks that signed this resolution that went through that. This is kind of an extension of that concept, in that I know you may not have heard of this case, but you have heard of the Friends of the Gorge, and you've seen sort of some of the things that they have done to people. They have evolved from a interest group to a religious organization to a fund gathering entity to finally an extortion operation. We'll sue you with our unlimited legal funds unless you write us a big check. I referenced the BPA. The thing about this is I had nothing for them to extort. They did it because you could see that white shop building from 35,000 feet and from the other side of Rowena, and they didn't like it. And I got to pay the penalty for it. They did sue for spite. The result was that of this endless litigation was I had to paint that shop building, 11,000 square feet exterior, cost about 10 grand. And, but the line was established in my favor. And they didn't want to use it for advertising for raising funds. Not at all. That was an embarrassment to them. What I wanted to do here today was, one, expose you to this, because my guess is you're going to be dealing with the same people at some point or another, if you're not already. 2, extend again how much I appreciated this county for sticking up for somebody who doesn't write fat checks for campaign contributions. At least I haven't been able to in the past. And that's pretty much it, really. Obviously, I'd be happy to answer any questions you've got. I know that.
You know, as I read this, I wasn't here in the county when this happened, but I remember talking to Mr. Sauter. And this was, I guess I would say, the county's pushback on the Gorge Commission and their authority, or what limited authority they should have. So this fight needed to happen to keep them out of our pocket, if you
Well,
will say so. Yeah, I'm glad they set that precedent because otherwise we'd be setting it today because they would be ever reaching. And so this is one more reminder of why we are not a gorge commission county.
yeah,
And I don't know that we have any intentions of doing so moving forward.
well, I hope you settle for more than the $40,000 they had offered initially. But,
And yeah, when I moved into my office and looked in the file cabinet, there was a manila folder labeled extortion on it.
no shit.
All those documents are past the document retention period and they have all been destroyed because they are legally allowed to be destroyed. But no, I got a good read on the history of.
Well, I don't know if any of that file had this one in it. I
It
just
did.
wanted to give you guys a reminder of what came before you and hope you don't run into it again.
We run into it. Seems like all the time. So, all right.
Very good.
Thank
Thank you
you,
both.
sir. I'm gonna move on to other comments.
Three of you, sorry.
Yep.
All right.
We're in the room. Let's go online. Anybody online have citizen comment for us today? Thank you, sir. Anybody online have citizen comment for the Board of Commissioners? If nobody, we're gonna question whether our mics work. Still seeing none. Anybody in the room have citizen comment for? Not seeing our normal
today.
commenters online either. It's county employee, county employee, county employee, county employee. All right, making another call. Anybody online has citizen comment for us, please unmute yourself, raise your hands, or otherwise get our attention. If not, we will continue signing paperwork.
Didn't you? You want a part of them? Some of them?
No. They can have some of the pile.
Sure.
See, you probably never thought when you took this job, you'd be like more famous than Arnold Schwarzenegger. You get more signatures every week than a
It is.
superstar. All these people want your signature. You're so famous now.
That's probably why I got crippled.
Yeah. I know my signature's gotten really bad in the last 2 years.
Supposed to make it get better with all.
Well, there's just so many. I have to slow down when we're doing a appreciation certificate or something.
Yes. Make it look nice.
All right, checking again online. If anybody has any citizen comment for the Board of Commissioners, we will be happy to put our signature signing on hold for you. Nobody, huh? I could probably institute one. I just gonna say, the county must be doing such a fantastic job and we're all doing such a wonderful job at our job that there's just no comment. So must be the case. How long are you gonna be on? Are you gonna be on the rest of the day, Commissioner Anderson, or are you only stopping by between meetings?
I've got a little less than an hour that I can be on, and I got more meetings.
Okay.
Check.
So if nobody's gonna speak, if you'd like to do the bills and the consent agenda, we can do that.
Did,
Ideally, but I'd like to save the consent until after public comment, just in case somebody wants to comment on that one.
would you like to do the bills?
But we can do the bills.
So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the accounts payable warrants in the amount of $154,575,083 for the date ending May 22nd, 2023.
I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pay the bills. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. Anybody out there, citizen comments, wants to have any comment for the Board of Commissioners today? Still saying no. Anybody have citizen comment for the Board of Commissioners? Raise your hand or unmute yourself. Okay. Well, since Commissioner Anderson is on limited time, I will let him know that me and Ms. Anderson did go into executive, or Ms. Zoller, went into executive session before lunch for contract negotiation for landfill stuff. In that, we did have a discussion about the Skagit discount that was asked of us. So now might be a good time to at least give verbal approval for allowing Ms. Zoller to go up to Skagit and offer the $1.50 that was requested as a discount, and my verbal approval is a yes to offer the $1.50.
And mine would be a yes.
You're muted, sir.
Thank you. Are you looking for a motion or what are you looking for?
I'd entertain a motion. I mean, that'd get it official before we go up there tomorrow. If you wanted to do it as a motion now or just a verbal now and a motion next week, motion would be better to me.
So I still have questions on how that plays out. I mean, we can't give Skagit County a discount per se, because we don't have a contract with Skagit County. We have a contract with Republic. And so do we have anything in writing from Republic that if we go up there and offer something, that Republic is going to honor that and pass that on?
No, so are you a no, sir, or yes?
Well,
I mean, I'm not necessarily looking for a whole bunch of debate. We've debated this topic for a month now.
right, but I guess I'm looking for something that says that if we offer something, that it's going to get passed through. And if that's in writing.
Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion.
So spending quite a bit of time on the phone last week, I'm comfortable making a motion that we approve the $1.50 discount for Republic for Skagit.
Okay, I'll step down and second the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the $1.50 discount for Skagit County in their contract negotiations for solid waste renewal, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
It sounded like all three. Motion passes. Citizen comment. Anybody out on internet land have citizen comment for the Board of Commissioners today? Raise your hand or unmute yourself. Still seeing that. I do appreciate my seatmates' willingness to get some of our other work done while there's no citizen comment, because just sitting here for half an hour is. We'll give it a few more minutes and then we'll do the agenda, but I want to give anybody out there a chance to comment on any of the agenda items before we move to pass. Let's see now.
Have either of you written up something for tomorrow yet that we can review?
I did not, but my plan is to do that. I started to at lunch and then came in back early, but there's a citizen here, so engaged in conversation with him, and that took up my my writing time. But I will do that right after we adjourn. Again, it's well, I guess I can't say that because that was discussion in executive last week, but my intention for that is to just write two short, sweet paragraphs, one about the relationship with Skagit, and the second one is actually offering the discount. So it should be no surprises, and then circulate that, and off she goes.
Do you have anything to share, Jake, that you'd like to send? I started crafting things, but mine was lengthy.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
We're just down to the wire. I trust that you guys have it well in hand and everything will go smoothly tomorrow.
Short and to the point.
Yeah, as soon as this meeting is over, I will go in my office and lock the door, so nobody can come in and bug me until I have it written. So I can't imagine more than 20 minutes, but I'll just make sure the door's shut. It's not like you ever get a free 20 minutes. Any other citizen comment online anywhere? Raise your hand, unmute yourself. Those of you that are tuning in for the Jerry Springer Show today, I'm sorry, we're just boring. Maybe I need to wear a black suit more often. I can be boring every day. That's like, there's literally like 5 people on Zoom that I'm not sure who they are. Getting close to last call for citizen comment out there. With that and hearing no comments, if somebody did want to now make a motion on the agenda, I think we would give adequate time for the public to comment on any of it.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda with 9 items.
And I'll second.
A motion in a second to approve the consent agenda with 9 items. Any discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you all for entertaining me there to give the public a chance to comment. Still in citizen comment. If anybody has citizen comment, raise your hand, unmute yourself. Throw a shoe, whatever it takes to get our attention. And I said that, and then I remembered that guy in the audience that threw the shoe at President Bush about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, probably shouldn't encourage that.
I think that was quite a bit longer than 10 years ago.
Goes fast.
Really? It might have been 15 tops. Last 2 have been single termers. Hopefully. Citizen comment, anybody out there with citizen comment for the Board of Commissioners, raise your hand or unmute yourself.
It was 2008.
8, okay, 15 then. The crazy thing is Google knows when shoes were thrown. The government is watching. What would we do without Google? God, back in the day, you couldn't just Google how to fix your car or how to catch a fish or anything else. Now you can live your life through Google. The IQ of the population should be 10 higher just because of Google.
Now, what was a dictionary or encyclopedias?
I had to go to the library and rent books.
Mhm.
All right, we're gonna go last call for citizen comment before commissioner responses, even though there was only 1 comment. I don't know if there are any responses. Hearing none. Does anybody, the gentleman that had the comment to start off with today is no longer in the room, but if anybody has a comment they'd like to make publicly, now's a good time.
I just love a copy of that resolution that he brought up. I don't have it anywhere in my computer.
He dropped it off during lunch and I thought they left a copy on your desk, but I don't see it, so. They'll get him a copy and it'll either be on your desk or your desk out here next week. Nothing? All right, 1:30. 1:30 is the time for public hearings, public meetings and bid openings, and we will start with a public meeting to consider the approval of boundary line adjustment BLA 2023-02 in the Murdoch Dallas Port Facility. Applicants McDermott Family Trust and Odom Family Trusts.
So we have a boundary line adjustment between the McDermott Delano Family Trust and Odom Family Trust. Boundary line adjustment, BLA 2023-02 is a proposal to adjust the common property line between parcels 0213-165-000-100, accessing from Cooper Street, and 0213-165-2000200 will access from Rio Vista Drive. The proposed boundary line adjustment is located within a portion of section 16, township 2, range 13, Klickitat County, Washington, in the Murdoch Dallasport vicinity. The administration review of the boundary line adjustment has been completed. Signatures have been obtained from Road, Health, Planning Departments, and Treasurer's Office. All conditions attached to preliminary approval have been met. If the board finds that this is in the public's interest to approve the boundary line adjustment, a motion will be needed to grant final approval. BLA 2023-02.
Any questions from staff?
No.
I would entertain a motion if there's nothing further.
Mr. Chairman, having before us a boundary line adjustment BLA 2023-02, applicants, the McDermott Family Trust and the Odom Family Trust, I would make a motion to approve that boundary line adjustment.
And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I will have a little discussion. I find it interesting that the citizen comment we had today mentioned one of these people objecting to a boundary line adjustment. And now that the litigation that went through for 7 years is now allowing the other one to do a boundary line adjustment, is kind of full circle, but anyway, with that, all those in favor of approval of BLA 2023-02, say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. Next before us is a public meeting to consider approval of boundary line adjustment BLA 2022-16 in the Lyle vicinity. Applicant Deborah Steinberg, and this is 2022, so this has been a while.
Yes, so boundary line adjustment number BLA 2022-16 is a proposal to adjust the common property line between parcels 0312-0609-070200 and 0212-0613-150300 off of Morningstar Lane. The proposed boundary line adjustment is located within a portion of section 6, township 3, range 12, Klickitat County, Washington, and Laos Snowden vicinity. The administration review of the boundary line adjustment has been completed. Signatures have been obtained from Road, Health, Planning, and Treasurer's Office. All conditions attached to the preliminary approval have been met. If the board finds that it is in the public's interest to approve the boundary line adjustment, a motion will be needed to grant final approval of BLA 2022-16.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff?
No. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the boundary line adjustment BLA 2022-16 by Deborah Steinberg.
I will second the motion.
Hey, we have a motion and a second to approve BLA 2022-16. Any discussion on that one? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of BLA 2022-16, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have before us a public meeting to consider the approval of short plat SPL 2022-26 in the Golden Dale vicinity, applicants Shirley and James Pence.
Yes, the short plat number SBL 2022-26 is proposal to create two lots from parcel 0515310000004000. The proposed short plat is located within a section of section 31, township 5, range 15, Klickitat County, Washington, in the Golden Dale vicinity. The administrative review of the short plat has been completed. Signatures have been obtained from the Road, Health, Planning, and Treasurer's Office. All conditions attached to the preliminary approval have been met. If the board finds it is in the public's interest to approve the short plat, a motion needs to be made granting final approval of SBL 2022-26.
All right, any questions of staff on this one? No. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to consider short plat number SPL 2022-26 55 in the Golden Dale vicinity, applicants Shirley and James Pence.
And your motion is to approve?
Yes.
Okay.
I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve SPL 2022-26. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. How long on average does it take to do a boundary line adjustment?
If everything goes smooth, it can take 3 to 6 months. Sometimes it boils down to being prepared on both ends with the county and with the applicant surveyor to know what they're getting into. Also, the more responsive. So as soon as we send out, if we need anything to make sure it's completed for the application process, so if we send out right away, say, okay, we need this updated title report or something, the sooner we can get that done, the better. Once we send out the preliminary approval and finding of facts, the more responsive the applicant surveyor is for getting that to us and getting all those boxes checked. So it's a 3 to 6
Is that
months.
one 2022-16 was the 16th applicant last year? Seems like that one's taken a while.
It did. There was some little hangups and, like I said, it has to meet all the conditions of the preliminary approval, so can't bring it to you until it's done.
Yep. There you go. Take your time. And thank you for all of that and the little educational workshop for me. We are good 12 minutes early for the WAGAP presentation. So with that, if anybody has any board pending they would like to go over, well, Mr. Anderson is online. Now's a good time. Oh, hi, Casey. You got to throw a shoe. Sorry. I didn't even see you come in. Yeah, see if you'd sat in the front row, I'd see you hiding in the back.
Good. So, the director for the public health department received notification that the current environmental health technician is leaving the public health department. So they are requesting verbal to post for that position internally for the required amount of the 7 days. And then they think there might be some applicants within the department, and then that would probably cause another opening, and then they would post for that externally eventually. So they're just looking for verbal to post internal within their department for right now.
That would seem awfully mean of us to say no, wouldn't it? Yeah, I
Jake's
think
saying
so
yes.
too.
Okay.
That's a yes, and I think yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank
We
you.
apologize in advance, public health. Well, not in advance, afterwards. We may or may not have poached their employee. Still board pending for anybody that has anything. Staff have anything for us to
Very quiet day.
It's really quiet.
Mhm.
I get a cattle drive tomorrow.
You do what tomorrow?
I get a, well,
Cattle drive?
I get to keep my bulls from joining somebody else's cattle drive. Um, So yeah, Kaisers bring their cows down and store them halfway at my neighbor's property. And then they go down the hill and across the bridge and up the other side. So while they're doing that, they tend to stray onto my property and off. But I also, my bull fence is right there facing the road and
He wants to go. with it.
well, there's multiple. Well, there's one left yesterday to freezer camp. So there's still two. So
That's a good way to. Haven't heard that one.
freezer camp.
Yeah.
They don't go to, it's fun in freezer camp. So yeah, no, I sit out there and try to keep the cows from entering the driveway and try to keep the bulls from jumping the fence.
Do they go all the way down Horseshoe Bend and across? I've ran. into
Eventually,
it,
yes,
yeah.
they stop there and then they go down and go down the switchbacks all the way down across the bridge and then up onto the plateau. over
I've
there.
ran into them on the switchbacks before.
Yeah, or around the bridge, because when they drive them, apparently when they try to take them across the bridge, they divert off and go down into the lake or down in the river and won't come out. Which is one of the reasons why I think those guardrails approaching the bridge are about 100 feet long. Just trying to keep the cows from breaking off the side.
That might be, because it was odd. They're
Yeah,
very long.
I mean, that hill sucks over there and you picture going down halfway and then a cattle drive coming.
No, I've been there.
So,
You just sit still.
yeah. That was 2 years ago. I had a bull. They were going the other way. And the bull literally broke the gate open in the back 20. Because that borders up against where they're held. And then was running around in my pasture trying to get to him, and it's only high tinsel out there. And guy on horseback out on the road was trying to keep the bull from going through the high tinsel. And I just go running out in the field to grab the bull, and he's looking at me like I'm some kind of idiot. Wound up bull, just went over there and smacked him on the face and scolded him and sent him that way. And he walked that way, and the horse guy's just looking at me like, what?
There was a
So what happens
terrible,
when you have a pet bull?
terrible hailstorm in Texas last week. Big. And this guy got a video of his bull outside trying to get under a tree.
Hmm.
Poor thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine, they all have. I look at it in bad weather and everything, and you see them out there just in snow and no shelter.
Mhm,
I can't do that. They all got shelter and water.
mhm.
Make me happy beef. All right, any other comments before 1:15? You.
So Jake's in DC.
Or at least was.
Yes, I'm still in DC.
So were you close to any of the events going on the last 2 days where they had a security breach? And they locked down a couple hotels and evacuated a hotel close to the Capitol?
They heard you.
That was by the White House. We're by the Capitol.
Okay,
Yeah, just if you were on and you heard me say that Commissioner Christopher and Commissioner Zoller are present and Commissioner Anderson is absent. That's because I will never publicly mention that either one of you are out of the area. Just kind of like mentioning you're going to the Bahamas on Facebook. I think that's a good way to get your house broken into, so. I always just say away, and then it's up to you to disclose you're not here. here in the county here. Leave of absence. Thursday. Ooh, we don't start until 11 on Thursday. Workshop heads up for my seatmates. When we get to board pending at the end of the day on Thursday, I will probably have a topic that I am seeking your guidance on. That's normally handled by the chairman, but I would like your guidance. So I can't imagine more than 15 minutes, so just making you aware. You may know if Leslie's coming in person. I don't see her on Zoom. Oh, okay.
She had back-to-back meetings.
Oh,
So
okay.
maybe she's still not at the meeting.
Oh, that makes sense.
I think Joel is gonna be.
Are you aware on Friday what this Denise Ford Explorer on our? phone?
Oh, that's fleet management software. So somebody check out the
Ah,
Ford Explorer.
Should we check into an Explorer? That- It
It
did.
showed on mine too. Say odds are in your thing over there, you can click fleet calendar and see the fleet vehicles or not fleet vehicles in that my calendars box down there in the corner.
Okay, we won't see it.
It doesn't? Oh, so now it just shows up. We get to see all the fleet vehicles every day, the minute we click on that link. Okay.
So if I see Explorers anymore, I know what they're doing.
Anything in orange? Is there anything else that's orange? What else we do in orange?
Yeah.
And say maybe, huh? Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, if we do anything else in orange, or if it's only gonna be fleet vehicles in orange. Color coordinate things. Did she adopt red? Should she get Dave Sauter red when Dave moved on? Are you driving the Skagit in your own, or are you taking one of our fleets?
Take my own.
Hope you don't get a rock chip like I did. That was an $800 trip last time.
I'm just used to driving my car.
Well, that's me. I don't fit in what we have out here. I need a gallon of Crisco and a shoehorn to get in them.
Those
Oh,
are
I forgot to bring
nice.
jumper cables for that dead one too. I'll try to remember on Thursday.
There she is.
Yeah, okay. Let me get back in my Zoom on. Dun, 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 dun. Leslie, there she is.
Hi,
We were waiting patiently for you.
I'm so sorry. I was
It's
doing
not
my
your
best.
fault. You're on a schedule for 1:50. We were running early. That's our fault, not your fault.
Yeah,
But we
Well-
are ready whenever you are, or we can just chit chat either way.
okay, well, I am ready.
All right, so it is 1:50. It is time Washington Board Action Program Executive Director Leslie Naramore. It looks like she is requesting for a supplemental budget or a contract amendment in support of the White Salmon Youth Center. So I'm assuming you have some pitch for us, so go ahead.
I do, yes. So good afternoon, Commissioners and Commissioner Zoller. It's really nice to meet you. I don't think I've had the pleasure yet. Washington Gorge Action Program serves all of Klickitat and Skamania counties, but I'm here today requesting some additional funding for our Community Youth Center, which operates in White Salmon, and it's an after-school drop-in facility for kids ages 6 through 17. And any kid can attend. And while the kids are there, they get help with homework. That's the first thing they do. They get to have healthy snacks. They play outside. We have a garden, so they learn how to do some gardening. And mostly they're just there to hang out and be with some positive adult role models. And as part of our contract for Klickitat County, they also do litter patrols. And they have just resumed doing that. We weren't doing that during COVID just for some safety concerns, but they've started doing that again. So that's good. But we do operate on a very tight budget every year. And last year, or I'm sorry, in 2020, the amount that we received from the county had gone down because we didn't need our entire contract that year. We had so much additional COVID funding that we didn't need as much from the county. But that COVID funding has since gone away. And so we're back to pre-COVID levels. And so this last year, we used to always ask for $20,000. And this last year, we received 16,660, I believe. And so we're asking if we could receive up to that $20,000, or if there were any extra funding available, that would be appreciated as well. But we're asking if we could at least return to that $20,000 level for the youth center.
Okay. Do my teammates have any questions or I don't know if you want seatmates want to debate. To me, this is a budgetary question that obviously the budget was not appropriated for 2023. I don't know if Ms. Zoller, Commissioner Zoller has the history on why it went from 20 down to 16. We normally have those discussions again during the budget when we set the next year's budget. So unless my seatmates think that they can, are willing to add to this budget to bring it to 20,000 and where they're getting the money difference, unbudgeted, I don't know. I would think this is a budget issue to be discussed during the budget time for next year's budget, but that's me, one of three. And I would open it up to the other two for their opinions.
This is a question for staff. What fund does this usually come out of?
Cumulative reserve. Would you please repeat that so we can hear me?
Cumulative reserve.
Okay, thank you. And which years was it reduced from 20,000? Was it just the last 2 years or the last year?
We did that in 2020 when we told everybody to cut 3% of their actuals. This was 3% of the actuals. So it wasn't just them. We asked for it across the board from every department, every office, every elected, everybody, and everybody cut 3% of their 2020 actuals. And that's how we balanced the budget for 2021.
That doesn't add up. 3% of 20,000 is $600.
Actuals. Actuals are different than budgeted. They didn't use their full budget. So it's 3% cut of what they actually used. So if they used 17.5 or 18, 3% off of that would be the 16,660. I don't have the number of what they used off the top of my head, but it wasn't the full 20. So just like other counties, I believe there are other departments. There's a lot of departments that don't use 100% of their budget. So instead of giving a 3%, and actually, if I remember right, it was your idea. Instead of doing 3% on budgeted amount, we did 3% on actuals because that would actually get us more. And in a lot of departments, because a lot of departments would end up having to give up 5 or 6 because of the money they didn't use from the previous year. This was just one of the many.
So the budget request in 2020 was 20,000. And then it was,
So yeah, everybody's budgets came in at what
okay.
the auditor, treasurer, health, public works, everybody asked
And then it
what
was
they wanted.
reduced based off the
And we
actual.
told them before they made their submittal, give us a 3% reduction of last year's actual expenses.
Okay.
Right,
Right,
right.
right.
So, and then that one was budgeted in the commissioner's office. So she took that one. She took Board of Equalization. She took everything that the commissioners handle. Looked at actual spent last year and gave a 3% reduction each. Going down the line. So I guess my worry is if we change that, and I'm not saying this is not a good cause, but I would also warn my seatmates that I can see another expense coming because Goldendale may have a youth center here very shortly when it continues to get built. That they might be coming for their handout as an equal payment for what we're paying to White Salmon. So understand that'll be coming soon. But I also look at if one person can get their budget cut back, what's to stop the auditor, assessor, treasurer, public works, health, every other department go, well, you gave it back for them. Why don't you give me back my budget cut for me? You know, you're opening a Pandora's box and then you find yourself back in a budget problem that we're in back then. Because I can think of a lot of programs that got cut. A lot of children, sex abuse programs. So there's a lot of good programs that got hit in that budget cut. And if we're going to repay one, we probably should repay them all.
But in the guise of the daycare situation we always find ourselves in, this program does cover a lot of gaps for people where we have nothing else in our county. So that's a tough one.
I guess my question is for Leslie, if you do not get this, income, what will the result be for the youth center?
We'll have to really up our fundraising game. Because this is a free service to parents. We do not charge any sort of entry fee or anything like that. So we would just have to really work on fundraising. I would also just add, we do support this with several other grants. We aren't just depending on the county. We have 2 full-time employees who both receive insurance and benefits and 1 part-time employee. In the last year, we've had to move from 2 to 3 employees because we have so many kids who come by and utilize the service every day.
How many more children are using the service today than last year on average or the year before?
I would say 5 to 7. Some days our average right now, I believe, is 24, but some days we've had as many as 34 kids show up, which is why we now have that 3rd person, because as you can imagine, 34 kids who have just come out of school and are ready to play with their buddies. it can be pretty chaotic. So having that third person there is just very important.
And they're full-time staff members, two of them, you said?
Yes, we have 2 full-time staff and 1 part-time.
And so what hours is the youth center open?
It's open every day after school until 5:30. And then during the summer, we do a poll with the parents who utilize the service to figure out what hours work best for them with their work. So every year, the summer hours are going to be a little bit different, but it always falls within working hours so that we can help keep those families in the workforce.
So during school, you're open for 2 hours available to the children,
Yes.
but they're full-time positions.
Yes, you can't have a person who's alone with kids. You always have to be in pairs.
I guess the question is, why is it a full-time position versus part-time positions if they only have 2 hours with the kids?
Because they have a whole bunch of other things that they are doing during the day. They're taking care of the garden, they're cleaning the youth center, they're getting activities ready, they're getting dinner ready. They do cleanup once the kids go home. So there are other things that they have to do to keep the center open and running.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Why is it free and not a menial charge of $5 a day or something like that? You can do an awful lot of money raising for $5 a day, and I can't imagine any parent would have a problem with that.
Well, we're a nonprofit, so we're not allowed to charge for our services. And we have always kept it free because we work with the most low-income people throughout the county.
Right, but I guess I would say that if you're charging for the service at $5 and that was going to pay the expenses, you still qualify as a nonprofit. You can charge a fee and be a nonprofit. Is that not correct? As long as
Well-
you're not making a profit and you're using that for operational expenses.
Right, it just opens up a Pandora's box when you go into your audit if you're charging for services. We've never charged for services. We've always kept it free because, like I said, we're working with our community's most vulnerable. And if you get into a situation where you're charging some kids and not the others, kids notice that, and that can end up making the kid who can't pay feel really bad compared to the kid who can.
Right, but I guess I would argue that it's not free, but it's costing a lot of people. It's just not costing the people that are using it. So,
Well, everybody pays taxes, so.
right, and I'm no argument there. I'm just saying the difference of free is different. I spend a lot of taxes on law officers and court services that I don't use too, so it's no different. I get it.
Well, I have to say, we're providing a service not only, for the parents, but for the children. If we remember the days of, or that probably still happens, the latchkey children and the amount of crime and things that happen to children when they don't have supervision. And it's tough being a working parent, not having a place for your child. So I appreciate their service for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No doubt about that one. I wholeheartedly agree.
What are you thinking, Commissioner Zoller?
I think from what I'm hearing, they've existed because and continued on and grown because of COVID funding, like we've seen in many places. And then a gap was created after it was taken away. And that was also a loss because of our budget reduction back then, but they were able to continue because of the COVID payment. I think this is a little bit different than other businesses I've seen who actually kind of grew on the COVID payment and then were at a loss when it ended. This has been a continuation for them, and it was a way for them to fill their gap because of our budget shortfall. I would like to find the way to fund them and support them.
Well, the question is, when do we do that? So right now, if we made a decision, we would be making a decision without any financial knowledge. I would say minimum, we need to wait until we have our finance person back to be able to present us with how, where, and when. But that's also is it a temporary? Do they get their funding back in the fall? Did we just order, when we do the budget, did we just open Pandora's box and everybody else coming back wanting their 3% as well?
If she has
So
more children and services and can justify that budget, then we would have to consider that at that time, what her pleadings are with the budget that she submits. Why is that budget necessary? That's what I would look at then. But for the shortfall, I don't want to see kids for any reason caught in the gap of a shortfall or parents.
Leslie, do you use the county funds as match for other funding sources and other grants?
For the youth center, no, we do not. In some of our other programs, we do, but not this one.
Okay.
We don't, the funds that we use to support the youth center are our community services block grant, the community development block grant. And then we also receive funding from the city of Bingen and the city of White Salmon. And none of those sources have match attached to them.
what do the city of Bingen and the city of White Salmon pay?
The city of White Salmon funds 12,000 per year, and the city of Bingen funds 8,000 per year.
Thank you.
So was that by design that the county matched what the cities were, was the original agreements?
You know, that's before my time, and I believe that Klickitat County funded the youth center before either city did. So if I'm remembering correctly, the youth center was founded in 1994, and I believe that Klickitat County was one of the initial funders. And then as the program grew, we then went to the cities and requested funding from them as well.
Thank you. I think due to what Commissioner Christopher is bringing up, the best thing to do would be to add this discussion for a workshop with our finance to have a conversation about what this is looking like moving on into the future, kind of pre-budget, and then we can get back to Leslie at that time.
That's all I'm asking for. I'm not saying this is a bad thing or we shouldn't do it. I just think we need to look at the budget year holistically, all programs, all services, to make sure they fit within our budget. Because if we come in mid-year and just be a bobblehead on a dash, next thing you know, you start eating away your cumulative reserve, and that's what happened for many years before me. And we're in jeopardy of already being in violation of our own resolution of use of reserve funds. So I'd rather just look at things holistically and not piecemeal. So
That works for me.
I would mention that we do make supplementals multiple times a year, and we make changes based on changing circumstances for internal as well as external programs that we fund or give funds to. And this is, I would say, a normal operating that happens multiple times a year. And thank you very much, Leslie, for bringing this to us. We will definitely take it under advisement and talk with the finance side.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If I can have just one more minute, can I provide just a very brief update on the work of the Klickitat County Child Care Committee?
actually, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So that work has continued. Johanna Rowe is still working as our grant writer, and Larissa is still working as our child care liaison. And we've been in several meetings now with the Goldendale School District. And there's nothing official because, of course, it would have to go before the school board. But we've met with Dr. Ellen Perconti and are potentially looking at some land that the school might be able to allow a not-for-profit center to be built on. So we're in talks with the school district because we still have that, I believe it was $583,000 that was appropriated out of the federal budget. And so if we're able to work with the school district so that the land is something that we don't have to pay for, that's funding that could all go towards construction of a facility, which would be located in Goldendale, of course. So we're really excited about that. We also have developed a relationship with the Chamber of Commerce, and we're coming up on the end of our current grant cycle that's funding the work that's happening right now. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to put together an event with the Chamber to make a pitch to the business community about the value of childcare. And then hopefully we'll be moving forward with the school district. So I'll be sure to keep you all updated.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was at the Reds last month. In the school was there and had all the numbers that they got from our small business development specialist. And so we were actually discussing that in the Reds, and I hope you can make the numbers work for them. I think it would be a good thing if somebody can make the numbers balance.
Yeah, we've actually, we're going to be meeting with Tiffany Pearsall. She runs Clay Frontier down in Skamania County, and she is a not-for-profit, and she has figured out how to make that work. So we're going to be getting together with her and picking her brain to figuring out how can we make this work for Klickitat County as well.
Nice update. Thank you, man. Any questions for Leslie? Hearing none. Well, thank you, ma'am. I hope I didn't come off as hostile to children. I'm absolutely not. I'm just trying to look at the budget as a whole.
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand. We're all looking at the budget.
Yeah, and it gets worse every year, and you never know if you have a landfill contract the next day. So with that, if there's nothing else for her, we will let her go and do the rest of her good work, and we will move on. We are 2 minutes behind. We'll move on to Mid-Columbia Housing Authority, Columbia Cascade Housing Corporation, Executive Director Joe Madsen with an assisted living facility update. And I'm hoping it's good news and bad news, but a little both, I'm sure.
Chair Christopher, Commissioners, Joel Madsen, Executive Director of Columbia Cascade Housing Corporation, representing that organization here this afternoon. And thank you for the opportunity to provide a brief update on the status of an assisted living facility project that we've been working on for years. And as you'll recall, we partnered with the county early on as part of the acquisition of the site that we envisioned for the assisted living. Our organization had come a long ways in working on fundraising and design development of the assisted living. And I'm really here, unfortunately, to share more negative news about the development than positive. As we've been working on our fundraising, construction costs continue to escalate. I'll share a couple of successes, and then I'm going to focus in on some of the critical failures that we've seen as it relates to this development. We were able to get a commitment from Washington State Housing Trust Fund in the order of $3.2 million that we could leverage into this development. And again, thank you to the county for helping with the acquisition of the land and the long-term land lease for the site. So that was another source that we had committed, obviously, the piece of property and having the title to that. The other source of funding we were able to get a commitment on is a federal congressionally directed spending through Senator Patty Murray's office to the tune of $2.5 million. And we have continued to be working with USDA Rural Development for a community facilities direct loan program. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, with the costs being what they are to develop the type of facility needed for Western Klickitat County and at the scale needed to operate it sustainably for years to come, we still had a gap of about $3 million. And we had, as an organization, had been out in the community, talking to community partners, looking at other ways of fundraising for, I would say, the last couple of years. Even reaching out to, I think Commissioner Anderson previously recommended, direct conversations with high net worth individuals in Klickitat County too, that may be interested in this. We took some swings at trying to raise that money. And then this last legislative session, we really took the approach of trying to work directly with our state representatives and state senator to see if we could include the assisted living facility in a capital budget request at the state. And that didn't come to fruition this legislative session. So here we are with a project that we haven't been able to close the financing gap on. And we're actually, unfortunately, at a point in the development where we're having to give money back for those previous commitments, particularly the Washington State Housing Trust Fund. If we're not able to get under contract with them by July, then it means that we're having to release those committed funds back to the state. So I wanted to come here and share that news, as painful as it is for me to share every time. I wanted to be forthcoming with that information to you all as key partners in this important community development. I've been directed by the board of Columbia Cascade Housing Corporation to stop spending pre-development resources to keep this project alive. Yet we're still taking avenues to see if there is any momentum at all that we can garner some additional support for, particularly financial support for. Again, being that you all as a county are key partners, and I know there's a lot of interested community members as well in this important community development, I wanted to be here to share that update and also answer any questions you may have for me.
Do you have any funding sources that are still out there, congressionally directed spending possibilities, anything that could come in at the last minute?
So we did not, we have not submitted an additional federal congressionally directed spending beyond the one that's already been committed through Senator Patty Murray's office. So we have the commitment of the $2.5 million yet. Our understanding of that grant agreement is that we have 3 years from the passage of the federal spending bill of December 22nd, 2022 to get into contract or get into a grant agreement, and then 8 years thereafter for expending. And the purposes of that, while flexible, is still targeted to an assisted living facility. So, if there were to be a change of project scope or size, it's certainly something we need to engage with appropriators and particularly Senator Murray's office regarding that congressionally directed spending. There are no other formal requests that are out there that we're waiting to come in. I have had a conversation with Senator King recently just about what the state supplemental budget process may look like, to see if that's even a potential avenue for us to be pursuing. But again, we're kind of quickly approaching the heading backwards as like having to give back that housing trust fund resource here this summer.
Is there anything we can do to help you move the USDA rural?
I think, they're the largest lender and they have not been very cooperative in navigating their underwriting process. In the same sentence, it's hard for us to push really hard when we don't have a complete budget, right? So I would say the best thing to do is to see if we can raise resources to help make this happen and get it across the finish line. I have confidence that we'll get our federal partners to come aboard, and it'll be an easier discussion when we have a balanced budget.
So from now until July 1st, you need $3 million.
I think that, obviously that would keep it alive. I want to emphasize also that the commitment of our organization is, development is risky. We understand that. And we've intentionally made steps along the way to invest our working capital as an organization. So, we're in it almost as much as Klickitat County is as far as cash outlay so far in this development. So we take this very seriously. I want to emphasize that. And it's it's also a business decision at some point where we may be faced with re-envisioning a different project, different development on that site, because this one's just not proving to be financially feasible. So,
Well, that kind of brings up my question. So you have to send one of the grants back in July. I'm assuming you're keeping the other paperwork done, even though you're not signing the bottom line of it. And the land acquisition and whatnot is all just sitting there in case Bill Gates or some philanthropist comes through. You're not like disposing of all the pieces and saying, nope, didn't work.
correct.
Yeah.
No, it's really important for us to recognize the values that we still have
Right.
with this development. This is a piece of property that's in good location, access to services, close to the school. You know, there's very limited land opportunities for development on the western side of the county, particularly in close proximity to the city. And we're grateful again for the long-term lease that we have with the county that was, you know, had the intent obviously to help further this development, but also has the flexibility of community development purposes on the site. So it's not solely limited to just assisted living facilities, my point. So you're correct, you know, that's a huge asset, that piece of property. And as I mentioned earlier, we're not quickly giving back resources that aren't where the people aren't asking for us to give it back if we don't meet certain guidelines, right? So we're slow to analyze that congressionally directed spending from the federal partners. I will also mention, you know, Klickitat County Planning Department has been phenomenal to work with. They've been patient, they've been educational of the process. And so that, you know, this facility did receive a conditional use permit from the county planning. And, you know, understandably, it doesn't have an indefinite shelf life for that conditional use permit. So that's also something that may be kind of departing from the development work that we've done to date. And if this project is re-envisioned in a different way, you know, we'll be faced with kind of going back to what are the zoning opportunities, right? As part of how we re-envision project design. This was, as I mentioned, this was a conditional use permit under the zoning code at the time for Klickitat County.
Well, again, for social services in Klickitat County, where it comes to assisted living for our seniors, I would hope we could do every last gasp of anything we can do to find that money. Any Hail Mary.
Yeah, it's kind of it's hard because said right before you were dealing with childcare, they're doing the same thing. It's one of those got to be subsidized, and it's just the subsidies aren't enough. And yeah, no, I was hoping this one would work because I don't get one over here until that one's built and it's functioning and working. Then I might get one over here. So yeah, no,
That's
it's a
the plan.
disappointment. It was a disappointment.
We're not done yet.
I haven't lost all hope.
No.
Yeah, I think I appreciate that comment and certainly value the importance of, you know, unfortunately, any Klickitat County resident that needs that high level of service to live right now is forced out of county and oftentimes out of state.
Yeah.
It's a huge gap, and we recognize that, and that's why we put our heart and soul and resources as we have to try to make this work.
Well, that's, I think your answer right there, forced out of state. I think that sums it up to me is the reason why. Hopefully our legislature takes a look at legislation they passed in the past and that drives up costs, and maybe they can, we might be able to do elder care and child care again someday.
Can I ask staff a question?
Go ahead.
Lori, what is your take on the conditional use permit? What's our longevity with that?
It was The conditional use permit was granted in January of 2020. And then they have done some progress to keep it active. For example, in January 22, they got a road approach permit approved. And that extended the lifetime of it. Chances are, from what you're saying, is most likely this as proposed facility wouldn't happen necessarily. So most likely we'd be looking at a new conditional use permit or having to amend the existing one.
Okay.
But, you know, it,
I think.
I can't speak for the Board of Adjustment and all, but obviously this one was approved and well received from the community and stuff. And I think it's safe to say there's definitely a need for it. So we'd definitely be working with you, whatever we need to do
Uh-huh.
to.
Yeah, there's no doubt there's a need for it. I mean, God, they've been pushing, how long has it been going? 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, actually, you know, so I've been the director for 9, and this was, I inherited this project.
Really?
Essentially, so
So
while
it's
we
longer than
acquired,
9.
while we acquired the property in 18, the vision, concept, and really push for addressing this need in the county is started more than 9 years ago.
Okay. I see a hand up online, Miss Sharon Carter, Senior Services. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Joel if you would be able to do like a news article or something like to make it clear that the project, you know, the shortfall is only about the 3 million. I think there's been various articles that have, you know, kind of announced the success of some of the funding that's been secured. And so there's a lot of confusion kind of about whether a lot of people thought it was a done deal and ready to move forward. And then other people know that it wasn't. And whether or not there could potentially be somebody that would come through or multiple parties that would come through with some funding if they knew, you know, just as kind of a last ditch effort to indicate that, okay, we're really only short this 3 million, if that is the price tag that.
Right. And I think we were actually only short 1 million or 1.2 or something at one point in time, and then inflation happened and construction costs happened, and
Yeah.
so.
Well, and I appreciate the comment, Director Carter, and this was really my direction from my board as first step. Again, key partners with the county. I didn't want you to hear about it in a newspaper article.
Yeah, we were kind of aware.
And wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to ask potential questions as well. It is our intent to get the news out there further. And just again, I want to acknowledge that at this point, it's not just 3 million. It's we're also looking at the 3.2 that goes away. Right. So it's closer to 5, a little over 5 million.
Any other questions from the board or directors online or anything like that? See none, hear none.
Can you apply for the 3.2 that goes away? And what's the likelihood of getting that reappropriated?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Anderson. This year's capital budget for the state of Washington had the largest investment in the Housing Trust Fund that we've seen. And so there are those state resources that are going to be forthcoming in this biennium. And we'd be competing with, you know, other projects at the time that those offerings are put out there. So I can't give you a great sense of what our likelihood of funding would be, but you know, we were able to get you know, funding for about 25% of this project through the Housing Trust Fund for those 9 units that we were committing to be affordable in the project. If we're going forward with a different project concept that has higher level of affordability, we may be more likely to get additional state and federal resources to help cement that affordability target for the development. So sorry, I don't have a straight answer for you, but it depends.
But if, say you got another 3 million off of that, though, you're going to have a hard time making money on the opposite side on the operations, right?
The importance for us is that we're going in with our eyes wide open as far as long-term sustainability. So I think where you're getting is that our experience, so we operate, assisted living facility in Stevenson area, and it doesn't work beyond 40% if you're accepting more than 40% Medicaid reimbursement in operation. So that's why we're being conservative in our promises or commitments for the affordability targets, because we need to make sure it's operational over the long haul. And we're not having to close doors like we've seen in other areas of the county for the type of assisted living facility.
So if you were to try to close the gap, what would the expectation be on the percentage for affordable housing?
Under the current concept, we've talked about what the gap is. I think a project redesign is more, for our organization's perspective, is more likely going to be pushed toward the 100% affordable target, whether that's an element of homeowner, it may look different. Like, unless we can close the funding gap pretty quickly on this model of the public-private assisted living facility, I think pretty much the entire development changes shape. And changes purpose. And therein goes away the higher level of services that would be found in an assisted living facility of this type. So in other words, independent living with affordable commitments for target population, not assisted living, which comes with that higher level of care with some private pay and some affordable targets.
Can I ask a question? Would memory care be part of that or I know you have no easy answers.
Right. So that, to me, that's associated with that service provision.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, you can make it more affordable by providing less services, but that's not necessarily what we need. So that's the hard part. And I'm not going to ask you to speculate on what this may or may not become. I'm sure you and your board will be working on that and over the coming months and whatnot to see whether this should be viable and pushed forward, or whether you need to go back to the drawing board and look at other approaches and whether that actually fits a community need or doesn't. So I just want to say I appreciate all your hard work on this. I appreciate everybody in the past 9 years that had a lot of hard work on this. I'm not giving up all hope. But, yeah.
Trust me,
It
I'd
sucks.
much rather be here sharing good news,
I know.
but it's part of the process as well.
Yeah, when we didn't see it on the appropriation front this year in the legislature, and we wrote letters and pushed and had meetings and then didn't see it, it was like, ooh, that was not good. So. Anything else? My teammates have anything?
No, thank you, Joel. Thank
Yeah.
you for the update.
Give
My
me
pleasure.
30 days.
Thanks so much. Be well.
Yep, thank you, sir. Oh. We already did pay estimates, so technically we're down to board pending if there's anything else for the board, or if any electeds or directors are online and have anything for us. I would open that up as well. Hear nothing. Nobody's got
No.
anything. I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to adjourn the meeting or recess the meeting until 11 a.m. on Thursday, May 25th for a town hall meeting to discuss comprehensive health leaving the county. And do we also, are you going to call in to the meeting tomorrow up in Skagit County?
I don't plan on commenting, but yes.
Okay, so also let the record know that multiple commissioners will be present for the Skagit County discussion.
Yep, and then Thursday, 11 o'clock, you mentioned, starts our day of workshop. So, yeah, I think that's everything covered.
Thank you. And I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of recessing until Thursday's workshop, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Have a
Thanks
good
for your
day.
work back in DC, Mr. Jake.
Yep, have a great day.
Yep.
Bye.